Good afternoon. It is noon now. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. I'm going to give this just a minute to see who we have hop on here. And I want to say welcome. If you're listening to this live, welcome. If you are listening to this as a recording, I want to say hello. Have you ever wondered why success comes easily for some people and maybe not so easily for others? Or maybe have you ever wondered why sometimes success comes easier for you sometimes, and then other times it does not? So, today we're going to explore our subconscious mind and specifically some programming that we're doing to ourselves with five little known factors that can stop you from reaching higher levels of success. So, and at the end of this, I've got a special something that I put together for you that's a resource for you so you can see a little bit about how the subconscious mind works and dig in even deeper if you want to. So, sit up tall in your chair. Let's and close off your distractions as we dive into this for just a few minutes. I want to start by giving you a little bit of background about me. My name is Kimberly Lebbing. I'm a success and mindset coach, and I work with business owners, entrepreneurs, professionals, and their teams that want to get to the next level in their business. Maybe they haven't been able to, something's holding them back, and I've got a process that fixes the problem in 4 hours or less. So, that being said, I know a lot about the subconscious mind, and I'll give you even a little further background. Who wants to know a little bit further background into why I do what I do? Growing up, I grew up in a home that was a little bit negative. I had parents that were really young. They were actually teenagers, and they didn't know what they didn't know. But as a result of that, I had a lot of negative words thrown at me and just negative environment in general. And what that did is that affected all areas. So there was a programming that was going on with me, and it affected my relationships. It affected my business, my ability to reach higher levels later on, because I always had like I couldn't figure out how to fix it. So I would go to seminars, I read books, I went through counseling, I did all these things. I could not figure out how to fix it. I got better, but it didn't really fix the problem. And it wasn't until I ran across a coach years ago that really helped open my eyes that the things that I had dealt with in my past were a direct reason they were the reason why my behavior and why my actions were the way they were today. And so I still didn't know how to fix it, and neither did he. So it wasn't until much later that I stumbled upon this neuro-linguistic programming and became certified under a couple of different places that I really got the results that I was looking for. And I discovered, most importantly, is that you can fix or change those perceptions and those past programs really quickly. It doesn't have to take years and years and years like I did. It can go really, really quickly. In fact, as like in my program, it can go as little as 4 hours. So that's the kind of the why behind I do what I do, because I want other people to be able to experience change if they're struggling. I want them to be able to get it quickly, and not to have to wait. So, so why are we going to talk about this today? Is we're gonna dive into subconscious programming that we do to ourselves that a lot of times we're not even aware that we're doing. And these really are the things that can stop you from reaching those higher levels. And it may be likely is the difference that made the difference in why you've been successful in some areas and other areas you're not. So I really want you to pay attention to this. So the very first thing is something called resistant triggers. And resistant triggers, these are words that we use. So anytime that we say, and this applies to everything, not just your business, but anytime we use the words should, have to, like I should go to this networking event, or I have to go to this thing, or I have to work out today. So you see, I'm applying it to personal lives. Life, when you do that, you are programming yourself and you are triggering guilt. And when you are triggering guilt, that sets off a whole line of other behaviors that makes you behave and do things that you normally would not. So what I would invite you to do is to eliminate those words, should and have to, and use want to, or I'd like to, or anything but that, but on the positive, more positive words that don't. Do you see the difference? I'll just ask that. Do you see the difference between should? Like I should do this, I don't know, let's say I should make calls today versus I want to make calls today. It's a big difference in what kind of emotions it triggers. And whenever you use those words a lot in your language, you're programming yourself for guilt. And then it becomes a cycle. And then you're going to need me. So, okay, so second is negative affirmations. What are negative affirmations? Like we know what affirmations are. If you are an entrepreneur, you probably have looked at them, or you know what an affirmation is. Why on earth would you ever do anything that's a negative affirmation? Well, I'll tell you, you do it and you don't even realize you're doing it, but it is an affirmation. Because an affirmation affirms what you believe. So a negative affirmation in your business, an example would be, I'm not really good at the numbers part. I'm not really good at sales. I'm not good at, so these are all negative. I'm not good at networking. So fill in the blank. But if you're talking negatively about a certain aspect of your business, that especially if it's a part of your business that you know that if you improved it and it could take you to the next level, pay attention to what your language is there. Because that could be the difference that makes the difference. So make sure that you are not negatively affirming a belief that could be a belief from the past. It could be something that's going on there, but you don't want to affirm it anymore. So pay attention to your language there and make sure that you're not affirming what you don't want. We want to affirm what we want, right? Not what we don't want. So even if I'll get into this in a little deeper on one of the other ones. So just pay attention. So on that one, just pay attention to your words. Okay, number 3. If you're using universals, universal words, this may also be a big contributing factor to the programming that you have that may be stopping the success that you want. And what are universals? Words like always, never, nobody, and you may be even imagining a time where you said something to yourself like this. We all do it at times. I recently thought, oh my gosh, I've talked to everybody already. or I've already gone to all the things, or whatever it was a networking thing. I've already talked to everybody there. Well, did I really talk to everybody? So pay attention to your words, and whenever you use that type of language, because likely it's not really true. And what you're doing is you're telling your subconscious mind to be done. So it's because it's such a like a black and white word, always, never. It's like a final. It's a final word, and our subconscious minds are very literal. And so when we tell it those things, it's like it just shuts it off. So it shuts it off, and it's not going to seek more. It's our subconscious is designed to seek more and more, but a lot of the language that we use will trigger that. Our subconscious, you can program yourself to seek more success, to seek more opportunities. But if we're using some of these words that they just sometimes filter into maybe not all of our businesses, maybe not every area, but they can especially filter into or float into the areas that maybe we're not as good at them as we want to be yet. Did you catch that? Okay. And that goes into my next part. So another piece of this is whenever you take the past with you. So whenever you are referring to something that maybe you're not good at, or something that let's say it another way, where you have an opportunity for growth in a certain area. And you may, as a business owner, you may seek to, farm that out, or, have someone else do that for you. But you also want to make sure that you are not using those words that are going to keep you in a state that's not going to help you move forward. So whenever you're referring to something that you're not good at, add a yet to it. Refer to it as in the past. So in the past, and the funny thing is, because of the way our subconscious minds work, when you refer to something that is an area of growth for you, and you refer to it as in the past, or I'm not yet there, it keeps the loop open. It's like it opens up a window in your subconscious mind. Like the door might be kind of closed, but maybe it's not locked. But when you use these words, it makes it think, oh, there's a little bit of an area of I might get good at this later. So so it keeps that opportunity door open. So if there's an area you're not good at, refer to it as in the past. In the past, I wasn't really good at detailed information, but I'm getting better, or I'm working on that. So you can tell yourself, if you just reframe the way you're saying it, it can be the difference that makes the difference. Okay. Number 5. Number 5, we're going to talk about asking yourself questions. So we ask ourselves questions every day, and this is part of our programming. It's the part of our programming that we do on ourselves. And sometimes it's in our self-talk. Sometimes it's blatantly in our language. But we can really guide our subconscious minds and direct it into an area that's going to get us success. So when you're asking yourself, why didn't I get the results I wanted, or why I didn't reach my goal, or why didn't I get to this higher level? Now, don't get me wrong, it's good to reflect and take that and change those things into learnings. But you also, instead of why, a good practice is to ask how or what instead. So how can I How can I reach this higher level? You know, what can I do in my business today that's going to move me closer to my goals, instead of asking why. When you ask why, it triggers the part of our brain that focuses on things. Well, actually, both questions do it. It triggers that part of your brain. It's called the reticular activating system, RAS. And whatever question you ask, your subconscious is designed to seek and find information. So it will go do whatever you ask it to do. But whenever you ask it a question of why, a lot, not all the time, but most of the time, it's going to focus on a negative answer. It's going to focus on, well, you did, it's going to point out all the things you did not so great. When you ask how or what instead, that directs your mind on the positives. And you can turn that thing that didn't work out so well, whatever it was, you can turn that into a positive. You can turn it into, what did you learn? What would you like to do differently? You can turn those things into something that you can use going forward, instead of being stuck where you were. Does that make sense? So imagine what would happen in your business if you implemented even one or two of these. Let's say two. Imagine what would happen in your business if you implemented two of these things that I went over with you today. How would that impact your business? How would that impact your perspective and maybe your excitement to dig into an area of your business that maybe you were afraid to before, or maybe there was, you know, some hesitation about it before, but now you can. Now you can, because your language has changed, and you're literally reprogramming yourself into success. So I hope you can see, if you kind of think about in the past, did you catch that? In the past, where maybe there was an area that you were wanting to improve in your business that you knew would really get you there, but you use some language in your self-talk, or maybe to yourself, and that maybe you weren't aware of at the time, that kept you there. It kept you there because it kept you focused on the wrong things. So I hope you can see how this could positively benefit you. So I want to give you a resource. I'm going to put a link in the comments and in the description for you to download. And it goes through my process that I use with my clients on shifting even bigger things. Maybe there's even bigger problems that you're dealing with, to reach those higher levels, and really uncovering the why, or where those behaviors are coming from. And it's a specific download that I did. It's a case study actually that I did with a client, and you can catch that, download it, and then you'll see all the steps that I do. And then you'll see some examples specifically with this client on how all of that works. So I want to thank you again. Thank you for listening today. And if you are listening to this recorded, thank you for listening to that as well. And that's all I've got for you. Put your comments, or put your questions in the comments, or you can reach out to me specifically or individually if you'd like. And I will see you on the next video. Thanks for listening.